The most chilling dangers today don't lurk in dark alleys. They slip quietly through our screens. The FBI's case files are filled with crimes that began not with a break-in, but with a username and a secret click. These aren't urban legends. They're real prosecuted cases that show evil can wear a digital mask. Imagine thinking you're safe at home, only to discover the person you trust most is living a secret online life. In the story you're about to hear, a husband's digital double life led to a murder-for-hire plot paid for in untraceable cryptocurrency. This is the true story of Amy Allwine, whose husband plotted her murder from the other side of the living room. It's a terrifying reminder the greatest threats can be silent, hidden behind a glowing screen, planned by the person you trust most. Amy's story is a modern nightmare, one that began with a simple login and ended in heartbreak. Stephen and Amy Allwine seem to have it all: a happy home, a thriving business, and a loving family. Stephen was a respected IT specialist and church deacon. Amy ran a successful dog training business. But behind closed doors, Stephen led a double life online as dog day god, seeking affairs and escape. Divorce was unthinkable for him. His reputation mattered more than his marriage. His secret life grew darker, and he began searching for a way to make Amy disappear permanently. The internet, he believed, could offer the perfect, untraceable solution. Amy had no idea the man she loved was plotting her death. Stephen wasn't a monster in appearance. He was a neighbor, a husband, a friend. This case is a chilling reminder you never truly know what secrets hide behind a familiar face. Sometimes the most ordinary people are capable of the unthinkable. Driven by desperation and a growing sense of hopelessness, Stephen's search for a deadly solution led him deep into the dark web. A hidden world accessed only with special software, notorious for its illegal activity and secrecy. This was a place where anonymity reigned, and the rules of society no longer seemed to apply. There, among countless illicit offerings, he found Besa Mafia, a site boldly claiming to offer hitman-for-hire services to anyone willing to pay the price. Using a carefully chosen alias, Stephen provided Amy's personal details and transferred thousands of dollars in Bitcoin, convinced he'd successfully arranged her murder with just a few clicks. He insisted it should look like an accident, hoping to keep all suspicion far away from himself and maintain his carefully constructed facade. Through encrypted chats, he communicated with the site's admin, a shadowy figure known only as Yura, finalizing the plan for a total of around $6,000. Outwardly, Stephen went about his daily life, blending in with neighbors and friends, all while secretly waiting for news that his wife was dead. He believed he'd orchestrated the perfect crime, one that would grant him freedom, financial gain, and a spotless reputation, all without getting his hands dirty. But the darkness he found online was about to spill into his real life, threatening to consume everything he thought he'd secured. He lived in chilling anticipation, obsessively checking for updates from the hitmen he believed he'd hired. His nerves stretched to the breaking point. The line between his online fantasy and the harsh reality was vanishing, leaving him trapped in a nightmare of his own making. Soon, the consequences of his actions would become all too real, and there would be no turning back. Weeks passed, and Amy was still alive. Stephen grew frantic, demanding answers from Besa Mafia. The site's admin, Yura, fed him excuses and demanded more money, classic stalling tactics. Stephen didn't realize Besa Mafia was a scam preying on people desperate enough to pay for murder. Not only did he lose thousands in Bitcoin, but the scammers now had all his incriminating information. They turned the tables, threatening to expose him unless he paid even more. Stephen was trapped, blackmailed by the very people he'd tried to hire. His secret was at risk, his world unraveling. The failed online plot only intensified his desperation. He realized if he wanted Amy dead, he'd have to do it himself. The digital underworld had betrayed him, and now the danger was about to become terrifyingly real. The line between online plotting and real-world violence was about to be crossed. The nightmare was no longer virtual, it was coming home. With the scam exposed and blackmail looming, Stephen's desperation turned deadly. The walls were closing in, and his fear of losing everything pushed him to the edge. He first tried to poison Amy with scopolamine, a substance infamous for its sinister effects. This drug causes confusion and memory loss, leaving its victims vulnerable and disoriented. Amy fell mysteriously ill, her body betraying her as she struggled to understand what was happening. But she survived, completely unaware her own husband was behind her suffering. Frustrated by his failure, Stephen escalated his plans. He sent fake, threatening emails to himself and Amy, crafting a web of lies to mislead investigators and those around them. He framed the Besa Mafia scammers as the culprits, hoping to divert suspicion away from himself. He was building a cover story, piecing together evidence to support his twisted narrative. Stephen was setting the stage for murder, transforming their home into a trap. He bought a 9mm handgun, cold, heavy and deadly. This was the weapon he'd use to end Amy's life, a final, irreversible step. Stephen was no longer just fantasizing online. His dark thoughts were becoming actions. He was methodically planning real murder, every detail calculated and rehearsed. The screen was no longer a barrier. His intentions had crossed into reality. Danger was now inside the house, lurking in every shadowed corner. He had tried to outsource the crime, then to poison, and now, with chilling resolve, he was ready to kill with his own hands. The line between the digital and physical worlds had vanished in the most horrifying way. The tools of murder, once just pixels on a screen, were now tangible, deadly objects. Amy's fate was sealed not by a stranger, but by the man she trusted most, the one she shared her life with. The betrayal was complete, and the danger closer than she could ever imagine. The final act was set in motion, time ticking down to an unthinkable conclusion. The nightmare was about to become reality, and there was no turning back. On November 13, 2016, in a quiet Minnesota suburb, Stephen Allwine drugged his wife Amy and shot her in the head, coldly staging the scene to look like a suicide. The darkness of the night hid the true horror unfolding inside their home. He left the house with their young son, carefully crafting an alibi, and later called 911, his voice steady as he reported finding Amy dead. To outsiders, it seemed like a tragic discovery. At first glance, the evidence appeared to support his story: threatening emails on Amy's computer, a handgun placed near her hand, and a scene that seemed to point to suicide. But investigators quickly noticed troubling inconsistencies. Amy was right-handed, yet the gun was found by her left side. Even more suspicious, there was no gunpowder residue on her hands, a detail that didn't fit the narrative. The digital trail began to unravel the carefully constructed lie, revealing secrets hidden in the glow of computer screens. The FBI uncovered deleted searches for the drug scopolamine, visits to the dark website Besa Mafia, and suspicious Bitcoin transactions, each clue painting a darker picture. Investigators soon linked Stephen to the online alias Dog Day God, exposing his involvement in a chilling murder-for-hire plot that he thought was untraceable. Every digital step he believed was hidden left a breadcrumb, and each one led straight back to him, tightening the net around his secret life. The evidence was overwhelming: failed online murder attempts, poison, staged emails, and a meticulously staged crime scene. The facade of innocence crumbled. In May 2017, after months of investigation, Stephen Allwine was arrested and charged with the murder of his wife, ending his elaborate deception. The man, once seen as the perfect husband, was finally unmasked as a cold, calculating killer, his double life exposed for all to see. In the end, the very technology Stephen used to orchestrate his crime became the key to his downfall, ensuring that justice would be served. The Allwine case is a chilling example of how technology enables double lives and double crimes. Stephen was both a church deacon and a digital predator, hiding his darkest impulses behind a screen. The internet gave him the tools to cheat, plot, and ultimately kill, all while maintaining a perfect public image. This case forces us to confront the reality that a computer screen can be the perfect mask. For some, the digital world is harmless fantasy. For others, It's a place to plan real evil. The danger lies in the disconnect between online actions and real-world consequences. Stephen's secret online life poisoned his real one, culminating in murder. Amy was married to a man who was, in essence, two people, one she loved and one she never truly knew. In the digital age, the person you know best might be the one you know least. Amy Allwine's story is a grim warning for our hyper-connected world. Technology can connect us, but it can also conceal the darkest secrets. Stephen believed the dark web would shield him, but it became his undoing. This case reminds us, deception can exist where we feel safest. Law enforcement followed the digital breadcrumbs, proving that even in the shadows, justice can find its way. The illusion of security is fragile. Evil can log on from the living room. We must remain vigilant, not just about the sites we visit, but the secrets hiding in plain sight. Technology's morality depends on its user. In the wrong hands, it can turn a picture-perfect life into a real-life horror story.
To the world, Dr. Matthew Falder was a Cambridge-educated scientist, respected and admired for his intellect and dedication. He was the epitome of success, a man who seemed to have it all. His colleagues and students saw him as a beacon of knowledge, someone who could inspire and lead the next generation of scientists. His achievements were celebrated and his future appeared limitless. His life appeared to be one of academic achievement and promise. A quiet man with a bright future. He was often seen in the library, lost in thought or receiving accolades for his contributions to science. To those around him, he was a model academic, a man whose life was dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge and truth. But beneath this facade, Falder hid a monstrous secret. Behind closed doors, he was a different person entirely, living a double life that no one suspected. His charm and intelligence masked a sinister side, one that thrived in the shadows. By day, he was a researcher. By night, he became one of Britain's most twisted online predators. His transformation was complete as the sun set, and he delved into the dark corners of the internet, preying on the vulnerable. His dual existence was a carefully crafted illusion, a testament to his cunning and deceit. He used his intelligence not for discovery, but for manipulation and cruelty. His mind, once a tool for innovation, became a weapon of destruction. He exploited technology to inflict pain, leaving a trail of victims in his wake. His actions were calculated, his motives chillingly clear. For nearly a decade, he operated undetected, exploiting the trust of those around him. He moved through life like a ghost, blending seamlessly into the background. His ability to remain unnoticed was his greatest asset, allowing him to continue his heinous activities without arousing suspicion. His crimes shocked colleagues and friends who struggled to reconcile the man they knew with the criminal revealed in court. The revelation of his true nature was a devastating blow, shattering the illusion he had so carefully maintained. Those who once admired him were left grappling with the betrayal. Falder's story is a chilling reminder. Evil can hide behind the most ordinary masks. It serves as a stark warning that appearances can be deceiving and that the most dangerous individuals often lurk where we least expect them. His tale is a testament to the duality of human nature. He was a master of deception, compartmentalizing his life to keep his darkness hidden. His ability to maintain such a facade was both impressive and terrifying, a reminder of how easily one can lead a double life. His story forces us to question how well we truly know those around us. The case of Matthew Falder forces us to confront how easily trust can be weaponized in the digital age. It highlights the vulnerabilities inherent in our increasingly connected world, where anonymity can be both a shield and a sword. His actions underscore the need for vigilance and awareness in an era where trust is often taken for granted. Falder's methods were as cruel as they were calculated. He operated in the shadows, using the anonymity of the internet to mask his true intentions and identity. Every move he made was deliberate, designed to inflict maximum harm while keeping himself hidden from view. He posed as a vulnerable young woman online, carefully crafting fake profiles and stories to lure kind-hearted strangers, often teenagers, into his trap. He targeted those who seemed trusting, lonely, or simply looking for friendship, exploiting their empathy and innocence. Gaining their trust over days or even weeks, he convinced them to send explicit images using flattery and false promises. Once he had what he wanted, his tone shifted. He turned to blackmail, threatening exposure unless they complied with his escalating and increasingly degrading demands. The fear he instilled was relentless. His manipulation forced victims into cycles of fear and humiliation, isolating them from friends and family. Many felt trapped, unable to seek help, believing no one would understand or protect them. Falder's depravity extended offline. He secretly filmed people he knew, violating their privacy for his own gratification. He installed hidden cameras and recorded private moments, turning everyday life into a nightmare for his unsuspecting victims. The footage became another weapon, deepening his victims' suffering. He would threaten to release these videos, compounding their terror and sense of helplessness. He derived pleasure from their pain, taunting and mocking them online. For Falder, the suffering of others was a source of entertainment and power. The judge called him an internet highwayman, robbing people of their dignity and peace of mind. His actions were described as a new form of digital predation, leaving victims devastated. Falder's goal was total psychological domination, leaving lasting scars that would haunt his victims for years. The trauma he inflicted went far beyond the digital world, affecting every aspect of their lives. His crimes were not just about images, they were about control, manipulation, and the systematic destruction of his victims' sense of safety and self-worth. The scale and cruelty of his offenses stunned all who learned the truth. Communities, families, and authorities were left reeling, struggling to comprehend the depth of his calculated evil. Falder's secret life thrived on the dark web, a hidden realm where anonymity reigns. He became a leader on hurtcore forums, communities dedicated to the most extreme abuse. Not content to act alone, he mentored others, sharing guides on deception and blackmail. His influence spread, inspiring a network of predators worldwide. Falder's technical skills made him nearly invisible, a ghost in the digital shadows. His case became the UK's first major hurtcore conviction, exposing a sickening subculture. The investigation revealed a world where cruelty is currency and pain is traded. Falder's story is a stark warning about the dangers lurking in the internet's darkest corners. It showed how one man's evil could ripple across the globe, hidden by technology. Falder's victims were often young and vulnerable, targeted for their kindness or emotional struggles. Many were simply looking for connection or understanding, unaware that their trust would be so cruelly betrayed. These individuals, already facing personal challenges, became easy prey for someone as manipulative as Falder. His relentless blackmail shattered their self-worth, trapping them in a cycle of fear and anxiety that seemed impossible to escape. The constant threat of exposure, humiliation, or further harm left them feeling isolated and powerless, unable to reach out for help. Some were driven to the brink, with several attempting to take their own lives. The emotional toll was immense as victims struggled with overwhelming shame and hopelessness, believing there was no way out of Falder's grasp. The trauma did not end with his arrest. For many, the scars ran deep and long. Even after Falder was caught, the memories of manipulation and fear lingered, affecting their relationships, confidence, and mental health for years to come. Falder showed no remorse, instead taunting his victims and reveling in their pain. He seemed to take pleasure in their suffering, sending cruel messages and reminders of his control, further deepening their trauma. He destroyed their trust in others and their sense of safety, both online and offline. Everyday activities, like checking emails or answering the door, became sources of anxiety as victims struggled to feel secure in their own lives. The stories of his victims are a heartbreaking testament to the real harm of online abuse. Each account reveals the profound impact that digital crimes can have on real people, shattering lives in ways that are often invisible to the outside world. Falder never met most of them, yet orchestrated terror from behind a screen. His actions prove that distance and anonymity do not lessen the pain inflicted. In fact, they can make it even more insidious and difficult to escape. Their suffering is a powerful reminder. Online crimes have devastating, lasting consequences. The emotional wounds can linger long after the abuse ends, affecting every aspect of a survivor's life. The need for long-term support for survivors is more urgent than ever. Only by listening to their stories and providing ongoing care can we begin to heal the deep wounds left by such abuse and work towards a safer, more compassionate online world. Catching Falder required a 4-year international investigation. He used sophisticated technology and multiple fake identities to hide his tracks. Law enforcement agencies worldwide, including the UK's National Crime Agency and GCHQ, joined forces. Investigators painstakingly traced his digital footprints, peeling back layers of anonymity. The breakthrough came through a mix of advanced tech and classic detective work. The trail led to a respected researcher at the University of Birmingham, Matthew Falder. His arrest marked a landmark victory for cybercrime investigation. The case proved even the most elusive digital predators can be unmasked. In 2018, Falder pleaded guilty to 137 offences at Birmingham Crown Court. The judge condemned him as a warped and sadistic individual, driven by a desire to inflict pain. Falder received 32 years in prison, plus an extended licence period for monitoring after release. The sentence reflected the gravity of his crimes and the suffering of his 46 known victims. It was Britain's first major hurtcore conviction, sending a message to online predators everywhere. For victims, the sentence was a step toward justice and acknowledgement of their trauma. The court made clear, the internet is no shield for those who inflict such harm. Falder's sentence was later reduced on appeal from 32 to 25 years. Judges cited his guilty pleas and lack of prior record as mitigating factors. His extended license period was increased to 8 years for added public protection. The reduction sparked outrage among advocates and the public who felt it did not match the scale of his cruelty. For survivors, legal arguments offered little comfort. The case highlighted the tension between sentencing guidelines and the emotional reality of such crimes. Organizations like the NSPCC stressed the need to focus on victims' lifelong recovery. The decision remains controversial, underscoring the complexities of justice in digital crime. The Falder case transformed law enforcement's approach to cybercrime. It showed that policing the dark web demands advanced technology, international cooperation, and specialized expertise. Agencies have since invested in cybercrime units and training to unmask predators hiding behind digital anonymity. The case set legal precedents for prosecuting hurtcore offenders and exposed the reality of online abuse. For victims, healing is ongoing, but support organizations remain steadfast. Falder's crimes force society to confront the dark potential of the internet. His story continues to shape how we police and protect in the digital age. Falder's legacy is a stark warning about trust in the digital world. His respectable persona was a mask, hiding monstrous intent. The case teaches us to be cautious online, to question appearances, and to protect personal information. It highlights the dangers of sharing explicit images and the need for strong boundaries. Falder's actions exposed the dark side of online anonymity and the communities that enable abuse. The story is a call to vigilance, reporting abuse, and supporting survivors. Evil can hide in plain sight, sometimes behind a lab coat and a PhD. The most important lesson: always look beyond the surface and protect yourself and others from those who weaponize trust.
The kitchen, a place of comfort, creation, and nourishment. It's where families gather, stories are shared, and the aroma of home-cooked meals fills the air. This is a space that feels safe, familiar, and inviting. But sometimes, the most ordinary places hide the darkest secrets, lurking just beneath the surface of everyday life. A stainless steel counter gleams under the light, cookbooks stacked neatly, the air tinged with the memory of spices and laughter. Everything appears in perfect order, a scene of domestic bliss. Everything feels safe, until you notice something odd, a detail that doesn't quite fit, a subtle disturbance in the familiar. You pick up a recipe card, its edges worn, the handwriting elegant. The title reads, "Long Pig Roast with Root Vegetables." The ingredients seem normal, herbs, potatoes, carrots, except for one that stands out, prime cut. It's vague, unsettling, and strangely out of place. The instructions are precise, almost clinical, as if written by someone with a chilling attention to detail. a chill creeps in as you realize the language is coded, the words carefully chosen to conceal a hidden meaning. Long pig, a term with a sinister history, whispered in the shadows of the past, hinting at something truly horrifying. The kitchen's warmth fades, replaced by a growing sense of unease. The familiar now feels foreign, even threatening. This isn't just a recipe, it's a blueprint for something unthinkable, a guide to a forbidden act. The ordinary transforms into the macabre as the kitchen's true nature is revealed. The kitchen becomes a stage for horror, the recipe a script for the forbidden, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. What seems mundane is twisted into a symbol of darkness, a reminder that evil can hide in plain sight. The digital world allows these secrets to hide in plain sight, spreading quietly through online forums and recipe blogs. Behind the glow of a screen, the line between fantasy and reality blurs, making it harder to tell what's real and what's imagined. A recipe isn't always just a recipe, sometimes it's a doorway to something much darker. Sometimes it's a mask for the unimaginable, a disguise for secrets too terrible to speak aloud. The kitchen's secret is out. The transformation is complete, and there's no turning back. The horror is real, and it starts with a single innocent-looking card, an invitation to cross a line that should never be crossed. Welcome to the unsettling intersection of the everyday and the unspeakable, where the familiar becomes the stuff of nightmares. Let's look closer at that recipe, long pig roast. At first glance it appears innocent, just another culinary adventure waiting to be tried. But beneath the surface, something far more disturbing is simmering. It mimics any other recipe, ingredients, instructions, cooking time, even serving suggestions. The format is familiar, comforting, almost inviting. But its disguise is deliberate, crafted to hide its true nature from prying eyes. The creators use euphemisms, long pig, white pork, special meat, to mask their true intent. These words are chosen carefully, allowing them to communicate in plain sight. This coded language lets a hidden community discuss the unthinkable, cloaked in culinary terms. It's a secret handshake, a way to find others who share the same dark curiosity. They claim it's just fantasy, a harmless exploration of taboo, but the reality is far more sinister, and the line between imagination and intent is dangerously thin. By normalizing cannibalism as a technical process, the horror is stripped away. The language becomes clinical, almost detached, as if discussing any other recipe. Recipes discuss cuts, preparation, even wine pairings, creating a disturbing psychological distance. The act is reduced to a series of steps, making it easier to rationalize. For some, fantasy isn't enough. The line between talk and action blurs. The more they discuss, the more real it becomes. In these forums, encouragement replaces inhibition. Members egg each other on, pushing boundaries further with every post. The recipe becomes a plan, a blueprint for something unspeakable. What started as fiction can quickly spiral into reality. The forum, once a space for dark imagination, turns into a hunting ground. Here, predators and willing victims can find each other. Here, those who wish to consume can find those who wish to be consumed. The anonymity of the internet makes it all too easy. The coded language is both shield and invitation. The danger is real, lurking just beneath the surface. The recipe is no longer just words. It's a map to tragedy, a step-by-step guide to crossing the ultimate line. The digital world has made the forbidden accessible, connecting people who might never have met otherwise. And sometimes, someone decides to follow the instructions, turning a recipe for disaster into a chilling reality. In the late 1990s, a notorious online forum emerged, one that would become infamous in the darkest corners of the internet. This was the Cannibal Cafe, a place that seemed almost unbelievable, even by the wild standards of the early web. The forum claimed to be a space for fantasy, specifically vorophilia, which is the desire to eat or be eaten. It was a niche so extreme most people had never even heard of it. The site's administrators insisted it was all harmless role play, a safe outlet for exploring the most taboo thoughts without ever crossing the line into reality. Members posted elaborate stories, disturbing poems, and even bizarre recipes, all while forming a secretive, tight-knit community that thrived on anonymity. Outsiders might have missed the horror hidden beneath the coded language, but insiders understood this was a hub for the ultimate taboo, a place where the unthinkable was discussed openly. The defense was always the same: fantasy isn't a crime. As long as it stayed online, they argued, no one was getting hurt. But the forum quickly became an echo chamber, amplifying the most extreme desires and normalizing what would otherwise be unthinkable. Officially, rules forbade real-world meetings, but the cloak of anonymity made those rules easy to break, and some users were willing to take the risk. For a few, the Cannibal Cafe was not just a release valve for dark fantasies, it became a catalyst, pushing them closer to the edge. The forum offered validation, encouragement, and most dangerously, a sense of connection to others who shared these forbidden desires. Slowly, the line between fantasy and reality began to blur, and the consequences would soon become all too real. The forum's claims of harmlessness would soon be put to the ultimate test, as law enforcement started to take notice. What began as fiction, as mere words on a screen, was about to become a chilling fact. The Cannibal Cafe was no longer just a digital playground for the imagination. It had transformed into a breeding ground for real-world horror, with consequences that would shock the world. The Cannibal Cafe thrived on coded language, a dialect of denial. Killing became slaughter, the victim the meal, the perpetrator the butcher. This terminology created detachment, turning people into products. The code was a filter. Outsiders were confused, insiders understood. Posts read like twisted personal ads, "Young pig seeks butcher." The forum was a marketplace of the macabre, hidden in plain sight. Graphic details were shared as fantasy, but the effect was real. Practical advice, anatomical charts, and butchering diagrams made the unthinkable seem possible. Repetition wore down moral barriers. For the vulnerable, this environment was catastrophic. The forum provided community, language, and knowledge, a toolkit for turning fantasy into reality. The recipes became instruction manuals. The horror was no longer abstract, it was only a matter of time before someone acted. Armin Meiwes, a name now infamous. In 2001, Meiwes posted on the Cannibal Cafe seeking a willing victim. He used the forum's coded language, but his intent was clear. Bernd Brandes replied, sharing the fantasy of being eaten. Their online correspondence became meticulous planning. The forum had connected predator and prey. In March 2001, Brandes traveled to Meiwes' home. What followed was a consensual act of horror, filmed in detail. The fantasy became reality, a real victim, a real crime. The case shattered the illusion of harmless fantasy. The Cannibal Cafe's culture had enabled the unthinkable. Law enforcement was forced to confront a new kind of threat. The digital world had bled into the real with deadly consequences. The Meiwes case forced society to confront a hard truth. When do words become weapons? The Cannibal Cafe claimed to be fiction, but evidence showed otherwise. Investigators found users soliciting real-life partners and sharing advice on illegal acts. This was no longer fantasy, it was conspiracy. The internet's anonymity complicated law enforcement's job. Jurisdictional issues made prosecution difficult, but the precedent was set. When online talk becomes a real-world plan, it's a crime. The fantasy defense collapses when words become action. The Cannibal Cafe was more than stories, it was an incubator for violence. For Brandes, the words were a death sentence. The digital and physical worlds had collided. The consequences were irreversible. After Meiwes, law enforcement took a hard look at forums like the Cannibal Cafe. Investigators became digital detectives, tracing anonymous users through data fragments. Gaining access to servers was a legal and technical challenge. IP addresses, posting histories, and private messages became crucial clues. Sometimes a small detail, a local reference, a slip, revealed a user's identity. Private messages often exposed explicit plans. Undercover officers infiltrated forums, adopting the community's language. Their goal: identify real threats before tragedy struck. The work was painstaking and psychologically taxing, but it was necessary to prevent the next horror. By unmasking digital ghosts, investigators saved lives. The battle moved from the shadows of the internet to the real world. Investigators in these dark corners of the internet face a grim, thankless task. They sift through disturbing content, searching for credible threats. Their mission: prevent crimes before they happen. The challenge is separating fantasists from genuine predators. Warning signs: users moving from fantasy to specific planning, seeking real-world details, expressing frustration with fantasy's limits. The case of Matej Kurko in Slovakia proved the stakes. He lured victims online, and only a sting operation stopped him. His digital life revealed real-world crimes. These cases show why this work matters. Without digital investigators, more lives would be lost. They bridge the gap between online threats and real-world action. It's a race against time, a battle against anonymity. Their successes are often invisible, but their work is vital. They are the last line of defense against a modern evil. The Cannibal Cafe's story is a stark reminder. The internet is a mirror, reflecting all of humanity, including its darkest corners. For every positive community, there's a shadowy counterpart, hidden in plain sight. The danger is in the power of connection. Dark thoughts, once isolated, become normalized and amplified. The echo chamber effect can make the unthinkable seem acceptable. These spaces offer belonging, but at a terrible cost. We need digital literacy, an awareness that online spaces are not separate from reality. Words and connections online can have tragic consequences offline. This isn't about fearing technology, but about critical thinking and caution. The kitchen can be warmth or horror, the recipe, nourishment or crime. The internet is neutral, its use is up to us. The Cannibal Cafe is a cautionary tale for our digital age. Look past the surface, question what you see, and remember, behind every username is a real person. Sometimes their fantasies are all too real.
The room is dark, lit only by the cold glow of a computer screen. This is the modern frontier, the dark web. A digital space shrouded in secrecy, accessible only through special software. It promises total anonymity, a powerful lure for those seeking freedom from surveillance and judgment. Here people believe they can speak and explore without consequence. The architecture of this hidden internet wraps users in layers of encryption, creating digital phantoms. But what happens when there are no rules? The dark web is a massive human experiment asking, what do people do when no one is watching? For some it's liberating, a haven for dissidents and the misunderstood. Yet this freedom has a darker side. The same anonymity that protects a journalist can shield a criminal. The screen's light does not judge, it simply illuminates the path for whoever chooses to walk it. It is a neutral space, but intentions are not. In this digital twilight, the worst aspects of human nature often grow unchecked. The dark web is not a myth, it's as real as the keyboard under your fingers. It is a place where the boundaries of morality are tested, and in the shadows, the consequences are all too real. Welcome to the edge of the internet. Behind every anonymous post is a real person. The dark web provides a mask, disconnecting actions from identity. People say and do things they'd never attempt in real life. This separation is intoxicating and dangerous. A quiet neighbor could be a digital kingpin, a colleague a spreader of hate. The mask removes fear of judgment and accountability, but it doesn't just hide you from others, it can hide you from yourself. When you act without a name, it's easy to believe your actions don't count. Empathy fades when you can't see the face you're hurting. The pain is real, even if the harm feels distant. Victims are not just usernames, they're people whose lives can be shattered. Anonymity connects, but also isolates, removing the normal checks on our behavior. It fosters a culture where cruelty is mistaken for strength. The person behind the screen is still there, but the world they operate in has no boundaries. In the dark, our worst instincts can run free. The dark web is infamous for illegal marketplaces, drugs, weapons, stolen data. These exist, but the real danger lies deeper. The most toxic corners aren't selling goods, but ideas. Communities form around hate, violence, and exploitation. Troubled individuals find validation and encouragement for their darkest impulses. Echo chambers normalize and amplify extremism. Here there's no voice of reason, only a chorus of agreement. A private, troubling thought becomes a shared, celebrated belief. The community provides belonging and purpose, fueling anger and paranoia. The true danger is not in illegal transactions, but in the spread of dangerous ideologies. The dark web acts as an incubator for extremism, connecting isolated individuals. Together, they push each other further from mainstream society. They build communities that feed off each other's rage. And in these shadows, radicalization thrives. The line between online and real life is thin. Actions and ideologies born in the dark web don't always stay hidden. Plans hatched in secret forums can become tomorrow's headlines. Hatred nurtured online can spill into the real world with tragic consequences. Investigations into horrific crimes often lead back to these digital communities. The dark web is not just a passive repository, it's an active catalyst. It connects people with dangerous intentions, giving them a platform to escalate. Anonymity becomes a weapon, allowing secret plots to flourish. The digital world provides the blueprint, the real world suffers the aftermath. Be careful which digital doors you open. The promise of a world without rules hides real monsters. Behind every screen is a person, and in the dark, you never know their intent. Sometimes, what you find in the shadows finds you first.